I've got the followers, I've reached my 100K follower goal, where's my money? So, let's go back to the olden days. Let's go back to 7, 8 years ago when TikTok was not viral. We hadn't had a pandemic. There wasn't the blow up of all the dances on TikTok. It existed as an app, and there was Musical.ly, and there were all these other things, but it didn't have the strong hold on Western culture that it currently does, right? And back then, if you posted something on your Instagram, especially because the app is really tied to building communities. If you posted something on your Instagram and it went viral and you gained 50K, I'm not even talking 100K followers at this point. If you gained like 50K followers and you had a business, you could probably run that business. You could probably quit your job that day. Probably build a business, continue to sell and build that business. That was success, right? If you say 50K on TikTok these days, people are like, yeah, you're a small creator. Even if you say 300K on TikTok, that's a small creator. 300K on Instagram is quit your job with this very second kind of money and you never have to look back, right? And that is something that I look at when I do influencer campaigns. There are certain people who have big reach on TikTok, but it doesn't translate to Instagram. That tells me that the level of influence I would expect and the return on my investment will vary. Now, that's me talking as an influencer marketer, but why it matters to you is you should then think about if the return for businesses is lower per like a 10,000 followers on TikTok, then the return for your business or the return for you creating a sustainable career as a creator is going to be lower. The threshold you have to hit to really get to that amount of money is going to be different. And I think what TikTok has done excellently well in terms of growing as an app is that you had to sweat on Instagram to even reach 10K followers. We didn't even have certain features available to you if you didn't reach 10K followers. You had to work so hard to get that engagement and get that reach. The For You page made it easier for anyone to show up and go viral. But because we didn't understand the nuances between going viral, TikTok never said this, but it kind of implied that because we had come from a world of if you go viral, that almost equates like financial stability from an Instagram world, which is, the case or was historically the case. But then they put that virality in a context where those rules didn't apply. I think it's taken us a second to catch up to the fact that the rules don't apply. So we keep filing these lottery tickets, hoping that we'll have the same Instagram effect, but the route is different, the road is longer, and that's just something to be really aware of. Okay, so now when we talk about goals, again, some people will say, just do whatever, just post and it doesn't matter what will happen. Just put yourself out there. Don't have a niche, don't have a focus, YOLO, and it will all be fine. And I think that's fair, but I think especially as different people, different creators have spoken more candidly about how much they've earned, and we've seen what the gap is between creators who are from underrepresented groups, for example, or who cover specific niches. Be careful when you take that advice. If you have serious goals and you want to make a living and put a roof over your head, maybe think ahead a little bit. Think about, okay, so if my goal is this, then what do I have to do to get there? If you're doing it for fun, doesn't really matter. Enjoy. File whatever lottery ticket you want. It's completely fine. But if you are hoping that you will be able to open up a new revenue stream, build a business, get some financial stability in your life, I definitely think it's worth really thinking about a little bit more with a bit more care. So there are some categories that are where companies are spending the most, right? On platforms like TikTok, beauty, skincare, fashion are always topping the charts when it comes to how much they're paying people, and then kind of other consumer goods like food and beverages to an extent, right? So immediately you should be thinking, how can I integrate those types of products into my content in a way that still feels authentic? And for some of us, that's not the case, right? Some of us are maybe, we just want to focus on our personality. And I think I'm going to talk about maybe personalities in another episode, because actually building your content strategy around your personality can be really helpful and strong in certain categories. But there are also lots of humor related creators who aren't making any money because of maybe the country they're in and what the attitudes are to influencer marketing in that space. So there's a bit of nuance there, which I don't think we'll have time to get into. But think about where are brands spending the most, right? Because most creators, especially on TikTok, unlike YouTube and other platforms, they're making their money from brand sponsorships. They're not making it from streams necessarily, or views. So you really want to think about how can I integrate these products in that way? as a business, again, you don't necessarily want to just follow a viral trend if you have no clear framework for what happens when your video goes viral. Are you driving people from the For You page to your actual page, i.e. profile visits? And then not only when they get onto your page, but are those people, do they even know who you are? Is your naming really clear? Are you building your funnel, right? And this is something that I've spoken about for years and has always been a key part of my marketing experience. And I'm a self-taught marketer for people who don't know, but this has been something that has been tried and tested. Your email newsletter, your SMS newsletter, your WhatsApp channel, your broadcast channel. People always say, no one reads emails anymore. Sure, but let me tell you, the people who are reading emails are spending a lot of money with the brands that they're signed up to their emails for. So just be mindful of, even if you don't feel like people are reading, the people who read shop. And that is the difference, right? And that's why I'm saying, like, there's a big difference between views and there's a big difference between building businesses. Like, I worked with a creator who probably had, I think, like 6,000 followers or so on Instagram. And because of the content and the strategies that we implemented, they launched a product, and it, like a digital product. They launched a digital product and it made over £10,000 or $15,000 in 10 days, right? And sometimes we think we have to get to that 100K number before we can start making some money. But if you think through your strategies and you actually know where you want people to end up, what products, services, experiences that you want to sell, then you don't have to wait to get to that goal. Like, obviously, the more eyes, the more followers, the better, because that's your addressable market, right? That's the amount of people who you could potentially turn into clients or customers or collaborators, but you don't have to reach that goal to get there. Now, in creator land, if you're a content creator, it's different, right? Because you need to have big reach, but there is also a world, and I actually just did this campaign with Typeform on LinkedIn, where we spoke about some of the realness behind influencer campaigns. And not every influencer campaign is about reach. Sometimes it's about really finding a very niche audience where their people are locked in and they care about what they're saying. So just really think carefully and like strategically about how you show up, what makes sense for you, before just like blindly chasing this idea of like, I just need to go viral and it's going to happen for me. Because I can point you to, I would probably say there's going to be a time where everyone who has a TikTok account has gone viral. Virality is not going to be the quit your job today experience that it was 6, 7, 8 years ago, right? And Andy Warhol, who had this famous saying that he said like in the 80s or 70s, and he said, in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. And that really stuck with me growing up, because as I've grown up with the internet, I believe, like with TikTok, in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 seconds, right? Everyone will have this moment of like their viral FYP moment. It's not going to be the guarantee that we expect. And again, my whole thing is about business. So marketing is like the bridge between like sales and creativity. It's like the mix of the two. And like, you don't have a successful marketing strategy if you're not able to build a sustainable business. So I'm always thinking like in that mode. So yeah, that would be my word of warning. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't push your content. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be consistent. You absolutely should. But you just really want to think about what your end goal is. Who do you want to work with? How do you want to be known? Are people following up with you beyond your FYP? What content is really resonating with people to be able to, if your goal is to build something sustainable? Again, if it's a hobby, that's great, have fun. And sometimes even when you start something as a hobby, it turns into something more significant, which is exciting. But if you are feeling the pressure and you're like, actually, I want to build something great from the outset, then treat it like that. Treat it as a project that you want to be successful from the jump, and you'll probably have a bit more luck.